It's the Pikey and Loughz Show, Talking Taipans. Chris Pike and Alex Loughton come to you with everything that is 100% Taipans. Let's go. It's Talkin Taipans.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Pikey and Loughz Show. We've got through the whole regular season, Loughz. I can't believe we've done it, but the show's really picking up some momentum. We're getting a lot of new followers. We seem to be creating a lot of great buzz, and all of a sudden we've got some finals to look forward to, and the Cairns Taipans are part of it, and they're a genuine championship threat. I think this might be the best ever chance the Taipans have had to make a run for the NBL championship. I know you were part of two teams that went to a grand final, but this team's a pretty exciting one. So they're heading into the finals from third position, and we're pretty excited here on the Pikey and Loughz Show. We're talking Taipans. I'm Chris Pike, but the man you all want to hear from, Alex Loughton, the Cairns Taipans legend. How do I find you this evening?
Mate, I'm doing very well. Just come off a bit of a training, bit of a pickup game thing with the Marlins squad. Just, a little bit of running around. But no, all things are going well, and great to see the Taipans in a great position. And as we will probably delve into this show, quite interesting sort of matchups. They actually match up fairly well against the Wildcats and all the bench, how deep they run in the bench, and there's different trends that have formed in these last sort of second half of the season. We'll break all that down on the show today, but so I'm excited to get into it.
Well, before we get into it any further, Loughz, do you have any sort of an update? Are you going to be playing NBL 1 basketball with the Cairns Marlins this season?
Oh, look, I mean, we'll see. I may or may not have had a coffee with Coach O'Loughlin today. That may or may not have happened. But, the information will get leaked out, and then, you know how these things play out. It starts off with ESPN speculation, all that kind of stuff. So we'll see. But the body's feeling good? You reckon you could hold up for another season? Yeah. No, it'll be fun. It'll be, if it's the right group, it could be a lot of fun. So watch this space. Very exciting. Now, we had a big hit with our special guest last week, Ron Dorsey, the grand final legend from 2011. We had a lot of fun with your catch up with him, and I hope everyone went and checked out the full interview as well on our Facebook page as well. If you haven't, you can still go back to check it out. But got another special guest this week as well. Mate, it's exciting. Kody Stattman is a sophomore in, Virginia Cavaliers. So I caught up with his dad, Darryl Stattman, and had some really, really cool insights, because you're always looking for progression between year one and year two. How are they going to go? What's the coach, how's his team come together with the exit of a lot of, stars heading off into sort of NBA trial sort of territory, which leaves a void for players, up-and-coming players, to fill that void. So looking forward to that catch up with Darryl Stattman later in the show. Yeah, very exciting to have such an exciting basketball prospect coming out of our area as well. So, it's always exciting to keep an eye on the next generation, and to let the parents have a bit of a say about how their young fellas travelling as well. Do you ever expect to be in that position? Do you expect your kids to ever follow your path into basketball? I'm happy if whatever they get into, if they're passionate about it, whether it be some sport or whatever it is, art, whatever it is, if they find that passion, that itch that they just can't seem to scratch enough, if it happens to be basketball and they're heading off to college, it's great. It's a great thing. It's an exciting journey. And as Darryl said to me, which I didn't really think about, he said it's a great way to connect with your kids, to be involved with their sport. I mean, he coaches a lot of the different teams, but when he's coached his own son, you're going around tournaments, you're doing so much cool things. If you align, I guess, as a parent, you get involved with it. He said it's really rewarding. But yeah, if it happens with my kids, with it, whatever they get into, if I can be involved as well, that'd be huge. Yeah, fantastic.
This episode of the Pikey and Loughz Show proudly brought to you by Cairns Total Physio. Less pain, more life. Statton's Plumbing Company, plumbers who care. And Your Fitness, your body, your choice, your time, your fitness.
Now, plenty to talk about on the Pikey and Loughz Show this week. We'll go through the Taipans' last two games of the regular season. and of course have a quick look at the semi-final series to come that starts next Friday in Perth against the Perth Wildcats. We've got the NBL Awards to recap, and we've also got the Talkin Taipans Awards to preview, and we'll also take a look at how the rest of the league shaped up and got ready for the finals too. So to start with, Loughz, 2 games last week on the road for the Taipans. As it turned out, the results didn't matter. They finished third no matter what, but the 2 teams they were playing had no choice but to win to keep their seasons alive. So started on Thursday with Melbourne having a pretty solid win. The Taipans weren't too bad. It only really blew out in the last couple of minutes of that game, and Melbourne ended up having a bit of a percentage booster which they needed and winning 99-83. And then on Saturday back in Brisbane, the Bullets had to win by 34 points to be any chance of making the finals, and they ended up winning by 36, which wasn't quite ideal from a Taipans point of view. What did you make of the 2 games?
No, and look, Mike Kelly is such a stand-up guy. You'd be forgiven for thinking that there was something going on in the background where they wanted Brisbane to be in the playoffs or something like that. I know Mike, and that would never happen. But I think it was the perfect sort of storm of players, especially like the imports. They don't want to get injured or do anything crazy in these last few games where it doesn't matter. If that's the case, then maybe they should have been rested rather than if you're gonna play, you sort of have to still keep your, be true to your behaviours. I mean, you can't be sloppy with the ball. Brisbane played a style that, as I think Coach Lamanis even said, it was unsustainable during the season anyway. It was so forward and aggressive that you just can't do that all season, even though it was their last-ditch effort. But certainly for the Taipans, you just leaves that little bit of sour taste in your mouth that, we played a bit of a sloppy game, and you don't want to finish on that and then have a big break coming off that. But I mean, when it's all said and done, I think the 2-week break is probably a good equaliser. It kills off momentum of the teams that have won in the last regular season game, and it kills off the bad momentum of teams that have lost. Because a 2-week gap is the same for all teams. They're all in the same boat. So I think it's going to be forgotten about in the not too distant future. And I think they forgot about it pretty quick. At the end of the game, they knew they were in third place, and they could take stock, I guess, heading back down to the awards night, that it was a great season, and they bagged a bunch of awards, which is huge, and they're just able to just soak it up, I guess, on their achievement for the year, which is all very well deserved for all the awardees. So your thoughts of the game quickly, and then we'll head into the awards.
The concern I have is not so much the result, because I think the fact that the game meant nothing, you can wipe it away, and I don't think you lose much confidence from it. But I just feel like that Brisbane was able to open up some cracks that have been there all season. And the biggest concern with this Taipans team, for all the great things they've done, is that under pressure they just haven't been able to keep control of the ball. So we've seen games down the stretch where they just haven't been able to inbound the ball. They haven't been able to get the ball across half court. If you trap Scott Machado, there's not really a plan B, and that's been an ongoing concern. And right from the start, because the Bullets had to win the game and win it big, they put the full court press on. They trapped Machado at every chance, and it just led to turnover after turnover. And that's my concern. And now I hope that it hasn't opened up the door for the Perth Wildcats. Now see what the blueprint is to throw this Taipans team off kilter, and what you can do to upset them, because they ended up with 27 turnovers for the game, and that was the difference. I don't think if the Taipans kept control of the ball, I don't think there's any way that Brisbane gets up the type of shots that they were taking. I don't think they get up 124 points. I don't think Cam Glidden gets off the three-pointers and gets off the leash like he did. I think the Bullets were able to play the way they did because they kept forcing turnover after turnover, and I just hope now that that's not a trend that goes into this semi-final series.
Yeah. Well, obviously the game at 4:30 p.m. on Saturday, that 90 seconds before that game, over in Perth, Trevor Gleeson put a bag of popcorn in the microwave and clicked over 90 seconds and got ready to settle in to enjoy the blueprint, as you say, unfold right before his eyes. So he had the popcorn in one on the left-hand side of him, and he had a paper and pencil on the other side. And he was like, oh, okay, so double team Machado all the way until he gets rid of it. Okay, I'll write that down.
Yeah.
Like instead of doing drops on the on ball, because Melbourne did the same thing and Brisbane saw that. So, this isn't new stuff. Gleason's all over what transpired in those games, and the Taipans coaches are well aware as well. But you're right. It just gave full insight into how the Wildcats are going to plan their attack based on those two games. So it did expose, I guess, the underside a bit of the Taipans. But having said that, the coaching staff of the Taipans are well aware that Scotty Machado is going to get double teamed. He's not going to be able to wheel and deal coming off a pick and then attack the big. It's going to be aggressive, hard shows, double team until they get rid of it. So the way around that is they're going to have to work out where their outlets are, and you need more than one option as an outlet when double teams happen. But the defense will be basically trying to take the first pass away and leave the corners open. So on middle on ball, they'll double team and they'll deny the next pass out of that double team and they'll leave somebody open in the corner. So it has to be a long heaved pass to an open play that they will recover to. So that's basically the strategy. Get it out of Machado. He is the head of the snake. Make somebody else make the play or make the shot. Those games are just a bit sloppy for my liking. We talk about 13 turnovers a game, Pikey.
Yeah.
That should be the goal for a solid play during the season.
Yeah.
I think they're up 20 turnovers for that Brisbane game, 18 for that Melbourne game. Way too high. Just too many possessions thrown away.
Against Brisbane.
How many?
27.
27 turnovers?
Yeah.
Gee, so 27 and 18 from the Melbourne game, roughly? That's just way too high.
Yeah.
The other point of interest for me is points off the bench. So we were just looking at the numbers before, Pikey, and we said at the start of the season, 25 points a game is like the minimum. That's if you've got a solid team, if you are able to get 25 points worth of production from your bench on a consistent basis. So New Zealand Breakers, their three-peat championship, I remember clear as day, they were getting at least 27 to 30 points off their bench regularly. It wasn't just the Stars pumping out 40 minutes of court time and bagging a bunch of points. It was actually the bench that just kept everything ticking over so smooth. So the averages for the Taipans, Pikey, do you remember what we added up in the end?
Yeah, over the course of the season, they pretty much got to that mark. I think it was around the 26-point mark over the course of the season. So, it's a little bit mixed up because sometimes Mirko Jeric ended up starting a fair bit when Kody was out. But basically between Nate Jawai and sort of Mirko Jeric and as it turned out, Fab Krislovic ended up having a really significant impact and Jared Kenny played his role too. So they ended up pretty much getting to that mark. So 26 points a game over the course of the season off the bench, especially when you had your three gun imports scoring as they did. I think that's a big tick.
Yep. And what about if we look at the Sydney Kings, they seem to be fairly well balanced. Are they tipping themselves as the deepest sort of bench type of team? Where do they stand in terms of production off the bench?
Yeah, the Sydney Kings are they were on top of the ladder right throughout the regular season, finished on top, and I think it's because of how deep they are. So they don't rely on any superstars to get the job done. They really do go 11 deep, and that's going to be their great strength come playoff time, and that's why their bench pretty much is on par scoring-wise with their starters. So they're well over up the 30-point mark in terms of the points they get off the bench. And I guess it remains to be seen if you win a championship based on having the deepest team or if you win a championship based on having the superstars that can dominate the big game. So I guess it's going to be fascinating to see which philosophy ends up winning.
I think over the course of a 5-game series in a grand final, you really rely on the energy of the bench and the ability to make subs, because those first couple of games, the coaches tighten up and they're like, I'm not taking my superstar right now. This game's too big. But then once you hit, the third and fourth game of a series, you've got to go to your bench and you've got to utilize them well. So it's a luxury to have well-performing players that can come in. Now, we looked at the Wildcats as well. They're sitting on us that 24, 25-point mark.
They're just behind the Wildcats,
A little bit less. But is that a good matchup then? Is it a fairly even matchup, superstar-wise, with Wildcats and the Taipans? Like, a lot of the production is coming from the starting five.
Absolutely, and I think the Wildcats right across the season, maybe it's changed a little bit since they got Miles Plumlee, but they've almost completely relied on the production of their big three. So that's Nick Kay, Tareko White, and Bryce Cotton. So when those three have played well, they've been pretty much unbeatable. If one of those three on any given night doesn't play well, they tend to struggle a little bit. So I think they rely on their big guns more than anything. Yeah. Miles Plumlee, makes a little bit of a difference because he might be their fourth star, or if he keeps getting in foul trouble, or if he doesn't have the faith of Trevor Gleeson, he might not have any sort of impact at all. So that remains to be seen. But they don't get a lot off the bench. So Clint Steindl's probably their gun off the bench, and I guess now that he's getting back to full fitness, Damien Martin to come on and be that leader and defensive pest, he'll be important coming off the bench as well. But they don't really get a lot points wise off the bench outside of Steindl.
Now, this is a bit of an X factor. We thought, let's do Melbourne United as well. What's the scenario here with their point production off the bench?
They're fascinating. So for most of the season, Mello Trimble has started with them, and they're well under the 20 point mark in terms of points that they get off the bench. So that has them right down the list. But suddenly, if you throw Mello Trimble's points that he's adding off the bench, they're well up over the 35 point mark. So suddenly they're the most productive team coming off the bench, and I think they'll stick with Mello Trimble coming off the bench now because it's worked so well over their last 4 or 5 games, and it's got them into the finals. So suddenly they've gone from probably the weakest team in terms of depth to putting Mello to the bench, and they've become the deepest.
So it's about finding the right combinations that work well, and at the end of the day, if you're winning, who cares? What that is. Everyone accept their role because, I don't think it's tried and true and tested. I don't think the Melbourne United have got the answer. I think they've stumbled across something that's going to be. I think it's like an X factor in this whole finals playoff thing. It's like Sydney are strong. The top 3 teams are really, I think they're a cut above the rest. But Melbourne United have all of a sudden got there's just something there.
Yeah, there is.
It's got to annoy the coaches, because they'll buck the trend. They're so erratic and so you can't predict what they're going to do. So it'll be an interesting one to watch. And we sort of digressed a bit because we haven't even touched on the awards, Pikey, but possibly a good time to get into.
Yeah, for sure. We can continue that chat next week as well with a full preview of the semi-final series. Just very quickly, before we get to the awards night, it was a fascinating last round. So we saw on Thursday night that Melbourne beat Cairns in Melbourne, and that put Melbourne back in the playoff hunt. That kept them alive. But then we saw on Friday night, the New Zealand Breakers, they had a tough time to beat the Southeast Melbourne Phoenix, but they ended up beating them. So that meant the Breakers were back into 4th position, and then was their spot to lose. But then, of course, we saw what happened with the Brisbane Bullets and the Cairns Taipans. They had to win by 34 points, and they won by 36. So that put the Bullets back into 4th position. So
they got into 4th. So they're celebrating. Go on.
And that meant that it all came down to Melbourne against Southeast Melbourne on Sunday. And
no Creek,
no Mitch Creek, and the Phoenix put up a fight, but Melbourne just had too much to play for, and too much talent in the end, and got the job done, booked in their final spot, and I guess at the start of the season we all had them as a real championship fancy. The way their season panned out, we thought that they had dropped the ball, but all of a sudden they ended up in 4th spot, and who knows, they could still end up upsetting the Sydney Kings, and we'll talk more about that next week, but it was quite the amazing way to finish. I think
it made it a great round. It was so much focus on the I think the number of viewers watching these games was huge. So it was pretty entertaining. All the different scenarios playing out. We said it all along, Pikey. We thought 16 wins was going to get you in a log jam. We were pretty close. That 15 wins was the log jam secret number. 16 wins got you 4th place.
Yep, 16 got
based
you
in. On pretty close, and we've been on the money for a lot of different ones. So yeah.
No, I'm happy for you to let me come on board, but let's be honest, you're the one that's been on the money with all these things in it. Let's go to the awards night. Let's start with the Rookie of the Year award. I think he was penciled in to win the award the moment he signed to come down under and be a next star. I'm not sure it really mattered what he did, to be honest, because he had to. It had to be a good result for the league with LaMelo Ball coming to play in the NBL for so many reasons, because so much was riding on it. So he was named Rookie of the Year. As we expected, he wasn't on hand. I don't know if he'll ever receive the trophy, and it might end up, like you said last week, where James Ennis's all first team award is as well. But he got the Rookie of the Year award. What are your thoughts?
It's the bottom of the river by Docklands. Yep.
That's the
Continue.
Yep. Are you happy he's the Rookie of the Year, or do you stand by, I think, what we talked about previously, that it probably should be an award that is won by a local player?
There's a couple of different things there. I think, one, he doesn't really care that he won it anyway. So, from that standpoint, it'd be nice to see someone who actually cares enough to go, wow, I'm really proud of this award, thank you. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's also young, so, a bit of immaturity there around that sort of thing. But him being down here, well, yes, big coup for the league, and I think the league got their money's worth. So is he allowed to be in Rookie of the Year contention? Well, I mean, he's played some pretty outstanding games. Those triple doubles were very impressive. Cut up shop before Christmas, took the injury for whatever it was, and that was the end of that. Yeah, I'd rather see it go to probably more the Aussie or New Zealand local type thing, because you don't want to lose that pathway of guys starting out here, looking back and going, this is my home, this is where I'm from, and, able to get those kind of accolades there, rather than the top NBA talent coming down and swooping and going, yep, that's easily him. He's a winner for Rookie of the Year. Let's give it to him, and then get any benefit out of that. I don't think.
It was actually closer than I thought. So LaMelo ended up on 49 votes and Kawhi second on 44. That's probably closer than I expected.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's had a fantastic season. Yeah. He's, for the most part of the season, was 11 to 12 points a game. It's sort of finished out just shy of 11 points. So that's the one that you'd probably go, that's the one you want to see win the award, regardless of Taipans. I think it's incoming Aussie. He's close with NBA draft type stuff. He's having a crack. And it's a Australian citizen or New Zealand citizen that can actually get the award. I just think it has a lot more upside, a lot more value.
Yeah, I think so. Let's start at the bottom of the list and work our way up. Referee of the Year, Vaughan Maybury. Any comments?
I mean, a lot of fans would say he's made a lot of bad calls. I remember the number being about, if they're happy with 85% correct calls, which means 15% bad calls in any given game, which I guess that's the reality. They're not going to get everything right. I found him pretty consistent. He's certainly, I think he's pretty confident in everything that he's done, and I think he's fairly fair. Your thoughts on that?
I think it's a fair call. The only, I guess, criticism of him is that he tended to go to the video a little bit too much, but I think when he makes his calls, he rarely gets them wrong. So I think it's pretty much on the money. Fans MVP. Now, the first award for the Cairns Taipans on the night went to Scott Machado. So obviously the NBL fans were appreciating what he's done all season.
Fans have been treated to a player that activates the rest of the team, and I think you go, that is something that I want to see, that they voted accordingly. So maybe they're tired of the Bryce Cotton's one-man sort of show, and he's an unstoppable player. He's unbelievable talent, Bryce Cotton. But Scotty's totally changed what people sort of expect, like an MVP runner-up, but to them, he was the most exciting player to watch because he got everyone involved. He had some amazing highlights. He was a team player, and I think that's really rewarding to see people go, I'm not just going for my favourite individual player. It is actually a lot more fun to see a player activate an entire roster. It was exciting to watch. I was drawn in. It was awesome.
I think for a player from the smallest market in the league to win a fans vote as well, that says a lot. That means that he's earned the respect of the fans right across the league, which I think is a great thing too. Another win for the Cairns Taipans, and this is one that that I thought was one of the easier ones to pick on the night. There was a little bit of sort of conjecture around the place, and the voting was fairly tight as well. But Defensive Player of the Year went to DJ Newbill, and I think that's spot on the money.
He's had an outstanding year, and he solidifies his brand, his name as a two-way player now. That's valuable. That's valuable on any team, because a coach goes, I know you're going to put in effort down the other end of the floor, and you're going to do it well. Like Damian Martin he's kind of all defensive kind of player. He doesn't have the offensive side, so he's kind of a one-way player in that, he's really good at defense. He's a great leader, but he's not like a prolific scorer. If DJ's putting points on the board and playing defense, and often getting the toughest assignment. So yeah, he's just elevated so much this year. It's just great to see that little shoulder niggle from last year that really must have hampered him, and confidence-wise didn't give him a whole lot to work with. This year, healthy, happy, he's got a terrific point guard at the one, and he's just had a great season, and great to win that award.
Most improved player went to Will Magno of the Brisbane Bullets. Very tight one. He won on 53 votes. Dane Pino second on 49 votes. What are your thoughts on that?
Both players really impressive. I think Dane Pino's got such a good motor. He just gets after everything. He's a workhorse. I think Will Magna's a little bit more unique and refined in the fact that he's a unbelievable shot blocker. And we saw it in the QBL from round one in the QBL. He was above the square blocking any guard that went to the rim, and I was just like, man, I haven't seen that in the NBL, let alone the QBL. So I think I felt like he was going to have. Oh, probably no. I'm shooting NBA threes these days. I'm not getting anywhere near the rim, so I think I was a bit further out. But I just thought, gee, that's pretty unique, and I was like, I'm going to watch this one because I feel like he was going to have a bit of a breakout season. They obviously got the championship in the QBL, and it was due to him and Kody, just a nice little combination, which obviously Kody might take us into a good segue of Six Man of the Year.
Perfect segue. Yeah, Six Man of the Year, Brisbane Bullets, Jason Kody. Another tight one. He got 31 votes. Daniel Kickett, Sydney Kings, 28. Will Magno again, 26, so pretty tight. You happy with Kody winning it?
I think, probably be a starter somewhere.
Yeah.
He's a pretty handy player. I don't think he'll ever be in the category of, your superstar type point guard type positions, but look, he's danger when he's on song. He's dangerous, and I think he's got a good IQ for hoops. So well deserved, I guess, for six man. And not sure what his final numbers were. I think he was 9 points a game. But probably more consistent over the course of the whole year. 11.1. Probably more consistent over the course of the year than maybe some of the other candidates, and maybe even our own Mirko Jeric, who really came to life that second half of the year. Had a bit of a hit and miss in the first half of the year, so maybe over the course of the season just impressed more.
Now, from both of those awards, we spoke about this last week. Sean Bruce, I'm amazed that he didn't finish top three in either the Six Man or the Most Improved Player award. To me, he was winning at least one of those awards, but he didn't even come top three. Are you surprised?
Yeah, I am actually. I'm a Sean Bruce fan, and I just thought he took that opportunity with Kevin Lish going down with injury. He just took it and ran with it. And from all accounts, he's just loving the player-coach relationship with Will Weaver there. He said, it's just amazing that, you can try things. You're not going to get scolded for it. You've got a little bit of rope to be a bit creative, but coach will challenge him on something. But it's just a working relationship he's just thriving on it. And it's just great to see. And yeah, I am probably surprised that he didn't come closer to one of those awards, Most Improved or, Six Man. So, but he's having a great season and he's loving life at the moment. So it's great to see.
Now back to a win for the Taipans. Lindsay Gay's Trophy, Coach of the Year, Mike Kelly. To me, as great a job as Will Weaver did, and you can't question that. I just think it's a no-brainer that Mike had to win this award.
He had the biggest save that I've ever heard a coach in terms of his speech, Pikey. So he's thanking his team, he's thanking everyone else, and I'm like, Mike, please thank the wifey, mate. You got to. I'm just willing him to mate, please, you've got to. I mean, she was right there. That they were all down there, So but it just as he's just about to leave, I think, and he's like, oh, and I just make sure I thank my wife, and it was really cool. I was like, oh, thank God. I was like, he would never. He's like, yeah, I think that's about everyone. My team, my staff, my coaches, the players. But I was like, mate. So no, it was really, really cool to see. I think Will Weaver had a stronger team, he had a team on paper that was, everyone knew who the players were. That it was sort of more of a given that they were going to have a success this year, or an expectation.
Yeah.
Mike took a list of players that were unknowns and unproven, I guess, and manufactured a season that he did. So I guess that's the bigger feat, and really impressive. In his second year, I think a new coach takes 3 or 4 years before they really know what they want, really know their offenses and what their go-to sort of plays are, and what their sideline sort of plays in the heat of battle are. It just takes time. But I mean, in the second year, to get Coach of the Year and steer this club into their third spot is really impressive, and I think it's pretty much unheard of. To be honest, and just a massive coup for the club, and great accolade, and well deserved.
Well, it just had so much to pick it up from where the previous captain had driven the club down into. He just had so much work to do to pick it back up.
Yeah.
Okay, all first NBL team. I think it spoke for itself to everybody that's watched even the smallest amount of games this year that Scott Machado, Bryce Cotton and Lamar Patterson were absolute locks to be in that team, and they were. Nick Kay and Jay Sean Tate as the two inside players in that first team. Are you a little bit surprised?
I disagree with Nick Kay. He's had a solid season, don't get me wrong, but I think everybody had Cam Oliver in that first team. If I was to pick my team right now, my 5 guys to go into battle, I'm taking Cam Oliver. I don't care. He's a totally different cat. He reads the game. He's an intimidator. I'm not intimidated by Nick Kay. I mean, he's solid. And he can, he does some things, and I just think that Cam Oliver was an easier choice for me if I put those two players side by side. I had Jay Sean Tate in my second team. I had sort of Mitch Creek up there and Cam Oliver, and I had Sean Long. I'm a Sean Long fan. I think he's young and immature, but man, he's a big dog.
Yeah.
He's a big player, and I think I put Cam as a 4 man.
Yep.
I don't put him as a centre. If he plays at centre position, I think he's out of position. He can dominate at the 4 spot. So I had Sean Long and Cam Oliver in my first team, but most of the guys on the NBL Overtime had Cam Oliver in there as well. So yeah, I was surprised. It's created, from talking with the Taipans camp, it's created a bit of a focal point now. Like, all right, well, the Wildcats got 2 players in the NBL first team. We'll show them. So there's your motivation. They've forgotten those 2 games, Melbourne and the Brisbane game, and now they have motivation to take it to the Wildcats.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think Cam Oliver had to be in that team. I just can't understand how he wasn't. In my team, I had Jay Sean Tate as well. So I had my 2 bigs as Oliver and Tate. So, So the all-second team, they did get Cam Oliver in there. Andrew Bogut as well. Scotty Hobson, DJ Newbill, and Casper Ware. So right from the start, you said that Cam Oliver, DJ Newbill, and Scotty Machado all 3 of them will be in the all first and all second teams, and they were. I just think that they got the one with Cam Oliver the wrong way around, but it's still a great result to have three of the top 10 players being Taipans players.
Casper Ware's numbers this year were not impressive. No. Like he shot at 30% something or other
from
in there.
Three,
I just don't think his numbers were that impressive. I know they won games. Maybe he had a couple of big shots, but Sydney Kings got it done by committee this year. Sure. They didn't get it done off superstars, and I think Jay Sean Tate was their superstar.
Yep, I agree.
I think but Scotty Hobson is the truth. And I really like, it's just a shame he went down with that injury for New Zealand. So he was a late sort of a comer in terms of, he played unbelievable that last stretch of the season. And, if he was around a bit more, I probably would have had him higher than a third team All NBL. Like, I should have probably done my due diligence on that, but I didn't have Casper Ware in there as second all-team. Definitely DJ in there, and Biggs. I had Lamar Patterson in my first team. I had Jay Sean Tate in my second team, I believe.
Yep.
Yeah.
Does Andrew Bogut get there on reputation, or how does Andrew Bogut get into that team?
I think he changes games. I think if you're going to, maybe it's not all on the numbers. I think it's like the best team that you can put together. And I think his ability to change a game and do what he does, he didn't have great numbers, but he was still good efficiency. I think he just didn't have a whole lot of time. I think he didn't play as many minutes. Maybe he was managed a bit more. But I just think if I put a team together, like I'm putting Cam in that first team, I'm putting Bogut in that second one because I'd rather have him in there than not have him in.
Okay, now I think we could debate that forever because I think there's genuinely probably 15 guys that have great cases to be in those two teams. So someone had to miss out, and to me it was Mitch Creek and Daniel Johnson the most unlucky to miss out altogether, and Cam Oliver the most unlucky to miss out on the first team. But yeah, I mean, I don't think you can ever get these things right because it's just an opinion-based thing. There's no facts that we can really lock it away with. One fact we can is that Bryce Cotton got the most votes in the voting for the MVP award, the Andrew Gaze Trophy. I think pretty much right throughout the season, we talked about how it was a toss of the coin between Bryce and Scotty Machado, and we were, flip-flopping all the way through between us on which one of the two deserved it. And in the end, the voting was pretty close. 88 votes for Cotton, 80 for Machado. I think as long as one of those two guys won it, I don't think anybody can really complain too much.
Yeah, look, Bryce Cotton, MVP, well deserved and warranted. Like he's an outstanding player. He can take over games. He gets them wins. He's entertaining as well. He's waving goodbye to the crowd. Like he's a apart from that, maybe that move, he's a class act. But he's also a showman, and his ability in this league doesn't seem to translate to NBA or NBA Summer League type thing. But in this league, he dominates, and he's just got an edge. And the Wildcats pay him handsomely for that edge, and basically guarantee production every year because they spend the cash and get the rewards from that. So he's an unbelievable talent and well deserved of MVP.
And the fact that it's so close, Scotty Machado to be only eight votes behind him, I think that's a great result, and it's for anyone to get that close to Bryce, I think it says a lot about them. And for Scotty to be the fans' MVP and to come second in MVP voting and to be named to all-first NBL team as well, I think he's got a lot to be proud of. And so do the Taipans for making the decision to sign him, because he was reasonably hot property coming off his 10-day deal that he had at the LA Lakers at the end of last season, but now he's going to be even hotter property.
So does he? I mean, he's going to take these accolades back to where he left off in the Summer League and hopefully, land an NBA spot. That's the dream, is to get back in the NBA.
That's certainly his hope. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny that the MVP voting, they're two completely different players, and often it's between a couple of players that are just almost similar, like great scorers, probably. They do a whole lot else in terms of distribution, 3 or 4 assists a game. This guy is 17 points and 8 assists, like surpassed all the records. Mm-hmm. It's just incredible what he's been able to accomplish this year. So I'm pretty sure he's proud of how he's played this year. He didn't get the nod for MVP. I think that's going to be great motivation for him going into this playoffs.
Well, especially to be playing against the guy that did win MVP, I think that's going to be a fascinating matchup because they'll be spending a lot of time opposed to one another. So it's going to be fascinating to see who can come out on top and whether or not it's the playmaker or if it's the pure scorer who can drag their team over the line. So we'll preview more of that next week, of course, Loughz, because we're still more than a week away from Game 1 in Perth. But right now, why don't we freshen things up and hear from a fresh voice?
This episode of the Pikey and Loughz Show proudly brought to you by Cairns Total Physio. Less pain, more life. Statton's Plumbing Company. Plumbers who care. And Your Fitness. Your body, your choice, your time, your fitness.
Yeah, look, this is a player that's killing it in the States. He's in the top league in college, the ACC, the Atlantic Coast Conference. There are 330 Division I teams in the US. There's 5,000 colleges altogether. 330 of them are in Division I. He is in the team that won the whole NCAA tournament last year for the Virginia Cavaliers. So I caught up with Darryl Stattman just the other day in the echoey halls of the CBI. But please enjoy the latest update with Kody Stattman as I talk with Darryl Stattman. All right, I'm here with Darryl Stattman. Now, he's the father of Kody Stattman, won the NCAA championship out of the whole of the United States. Such a huge achievement for the Virginia Cavaliers under Coach Bennett. But Darryl, tell me a bit about Kody's progression, I guess, from first year to second year. He was averaging 1.7 points in that first year, now 4.5 points. Are you really excited with some of the improvements and the progression that he's shown this year for the Cavaliers?
Absolutely. He's been fortunate in the sense that a few of the big players went ahead into the NBA draft, and another one in Jack Salt went to Europe, now going to New Zealand. So the doorways open up for him to get more minutes. So he's gone from about 4 minutes to about 20 to 25 minutes a game. Unfortunately for him, he had a couple of moments with a broken nose and a couple of games out with sickness, but he's just loving the opportunity to play a bit more this year.
So you've noticed another thing you were saying is his physical size. Talk to me about what his weight might have been in that first year compared to where he weighs at now. He's a 6'8" player, so he's tall. What kind of weight is he at now?
To play, he had to put on 200 pound for them to sort of
play at 200 pound.
200 pound. Yeah. So he's actually surpassed that now. Yeah. He's pushing about 205 to 207, depending on how he is each day. But, look, he's filled out when he come home last time. I couldn't believe how much he'd actually filled out. He wasn't that scrawny kid that we all knew him as when he was back here. Yeah.
So that 200 pound puts that at about, in my book, about 90 kilos now. So he would have left about 80, 82 kilos going to the States. Quite a lean 6'8". So he's stronger now and holding down his position. So the coach is obviously rewarding him with. Have you noticed defensively his improvements with that extra weight and strength?
I sure have. His defensive strengths are going through the roof. He gets good position now. He's good with his hands. His movement's so much quicker. Just the work on the agility and the strength coaching stuff that Coach Curtis does with him over there is elite. So amazing to see where he's at right now.
So Kody also represented Australia under 17s and under 19s. So he's already got Junior Australia Boomers under his belt. Now, coming through the ranks as well is his younger brother, Kai, who potentially could maybe under 17s this year. Is that what he's trying out for the Boomers, under 17s Australian team?
Well, actually, Alex, he has made the Asia Cup qualified team, which goes off to Lebanon in early April, so we're all excited. He's actually part of that team, so he's worked himself up into there. He's put in a huge amount of effort and work into getting there. He comes down here, 6 days a week basically, and he's working hard and he's in the gym and he's doing all those things that his big brother tells him he needs to do.
Yeah. Fantastic. Now the Taipans, I guess you've seen firsthand the awesome season that the boys are having. What are your thoughts on, obviously, playoffs just around the corner? They've locked in third place. They're going to be playing Perth Wildcats. What's your thoughts about how they can go in the postseason?
It's incredible to think where they were last year to this year, isn't it? Look, it's exciting. We've got a team of guys that just want to play for each other. I honestly think we could be a dark horse here. We've beaten both teams that are ahead of us on the table. I think the only thing that might slow us down is the excitement of being there and forgetting that we're there to play to the end sort of thing. But I honestly think this year's team with Mike Kelly at the helm this year, they're doing an amazing job. I wish them well.
Yeah, and they've obviously had outstanding performers, and they won't count the stats of who will make NBL first team, but my prediction is Scotty Machado and Cam Oliver, hopefully first team. I think DJ Newbill will clinch second team all NBL. They just had such an all-round contributions, as you mentioned. Is there any other player that you've noticed has stood out this year, either from an effort level, a Kawat Noi type player, or Jock Dang? Is anyone else, Mirko Jerry, is anyone else that stood out for you that's really helped the guys through some tough times?
I've actually liked Derek's in the sense that he brings some mongrel to the team. I think you need that sort of player in there just to go the intimidation factor. I really like what he brings in there. And, man, when he gets that three going, he's exciting to watch because it's a sort of unorthodox sort of shooting style, but it's exciting.
It's a ratchet.
It is. I call it the slingshot.
The slingshot, yeah.
But, no, I really like him, and hats off to all of them. They're playing as a team, and that's what wins championships.
Awesome. Thanks for your time, Darryl.
No worries. Good luck with it all.
So, Pikey, Kody Stattman obviously represented Australia under 17s and under 19s, so junior Australian representative. But he's not the only one from Cairns basketball that has represented Australia. If you would just indulge me, I've got some names here from the archives. We've got Raylene Lynch, Danny Morso, Jenny Evans, Nathan Jawai, Aaron Baines, Kody Stattman's obviously in that mix now, Tamari Wigness, India Boa, Shanice Swain, and Kai Stattman, the younger brother, has just made the Australian junior team, the under-17s as well. So pretty good pedigree in the family, and a very proud tradition of players making it through to the representative level. At the national representative level, all coming out of Cairns basketball. So very proud history for the association, and they certainly celebrate their successes there. And great to see, a great kid as well. He came back in for Marlins training in his off-season last time he was in town, and he nearly threw down this dunk. He came straight down the centre lane, and he got up, man. Like he just, if he connected on this dunk, it would have been unbelievable. Just elevated off the 1 foot, cocked it back and yacked it, just hit the back of the rim. But like, it was pretty cool to see him come back and see the progression, I guess, in between times that I've seen him train for the Taipans, and then came back to keep the fitness up and get prepared for the next level. But we're watching closely. So 1.5 points a game in his first season. He's on 4.5 points a game now. Good signs for Kody Stattman, and a very proud dad able to give us that update.
Yeah, so it should be, and it's fantastic for us to just provide the platform to highlight what some of these great people from the region are doing. And yeah, I mean, both of his sons now are destined for great things, and we might even see them playing for the Taipans one day. We might see them playing in the NBA one day. You just never know what the ceiling is with players that are this talented.
Well, it's fun because now these players, all the games they play, it's accessible. Like before, you wouldn't hear about someone until they've maybe done, they've done something big, or they've made it to the NBA. Like, where's this kid come from? Well, now, and I like to think that we're able to help it along a bit as well, but we're able to get access and give you those updates. But also, games are online, games are watchable. The NBL one is, in Queensland, NBL one is in Melbourne, and now in Adelaide as well. So there's three. This league, the NBL one league, will be very accessible, and you can watch the progress of these young guys coming through, which is exciting. Sure. And I think that if WA is not too far away for being connected into that as well. And I think if you've got this crazy talent pool, guys and girls, it's fun to watch how they make those big leaps into the next level. So great to see juniors doing well, and certainly great to see juniors from home suburb doing well and following their progress.
And of course, thanks to NBL One, you can watch Loughz running around this season too.
Oh, that's jumping the gun. That's we can't release that information. That's not, that hasn't been checked and cross-checked. That's bad journalism, Pikey.
Okay.
Bad
Sorry,
journalism.
Now, before the semi-finals start, we've got another big night, the Cairns Taipans season award dinner as well. You'll be a special guest there as well. You'll be donning the suit, hopefully, if you've got it back from Kawat Noi. Hopefully he's delivered it back in one piece.
Hopefully he hasn't left it in Melbourne like he did with his orthotics.
Yeah,
so
let's hope not.
I told him that. I said, "Come on, don't you leave this suit in Melbourne like you did your orthotics." He kind of looked at me. He's like, "How'd you know about that?" I was like, "Mate, it's Loughz. I could keep my earlobe to the ground."
That sounds like you haven't got the suit back yet.
No, I don't have it back. It's a good thing Loughz has a better suit. I've got another suit.
Very good. Now let's run through the awards that will be presented on the night. Firstly, tell me who you think will win, and then tell me which ones you've won along your career as well. Let's start with the Coaches Award. Who have you got to take that out this season?
Interesting one. I think a Mirko Jeric type of player could take that out. He's provided more than just, scoring punch. He's provided attitude and he's provided fight. And as Darryl Stattman said in the interview, that's his favourite player outside of your imports and things. So yeah. I think he would be a great one for a Coaches Award.
This one might be tough, Loughz.
Okay.
The Commitment to Community Award. I'm not sure how close of an eye you keep on what the guys are doing out in the community because you're stuck in Hemingway a lot of the time. Who have you got to win this one?
Well, let me just go a process of elimination here. Nathan Jowai has won it previously, so I'm just going to say that although he continually does great things in the community, I think they might be giving it to someone else. So I'm not too sure of who's been prompt to their promos, but it could be between a George or a Fab or a Fish. Now, Fish won Club Person of the Year last year.
Yeah, he did.
So, they might think Fish has got too many big accolades there. So I'm going to go with... and I don't know how my jock is with the kids. I haven't really seen that firsthand. So I'm going to go with a Fab or a George. And let me go with George. I'll lock in George. Blabowski, Blabajevic. We'll go with Blabajevic.
Did you ever win it?
Did I ever win it? I think I got it. I think I got it one year, yes.
What about the Coaches Award?
Coaches Award. I think there was a Coaches Award there a couple of years ago. That would have been, 2 or 3 years ago, I think. And that was probably my best season ever. Yeah. It's 12 points, 12 points a game. So, that was a good one. And then, there's been a few others thrown in there.
Defensive Player Award. You'd be pretty stiff to win the league's best defensive player and not win the club's best defensive player.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how that one unfolds. I think DJ Newbill's paying $1.01 for that spot. But, it's actually, to be honest, Cam Oliver is just as much in that conversation because he's changed games. His blocks have been impressive. And it's a statement when he does those things for the Taipans. So, I think it's certainly well worth mentioning Cam Oliver in that conversation.
Yeah, your old mate out west, Sean Redditch, had Cam Oliver as his pick for the best defensive player. So we'll see. The players. Well, firstly, did you ever win the best defensive player award? I'm pretty sure I know the answer.
I won it in the Perth Wildcats in my first year.
Did you
believe it or not? Loughz picked up best defensive player at the Wildcats there.
Okay.
So I haven't won it with Taipans though.
Players Player Award.
The Players Player Award. I reckon the boys will, and I don't know the ins and outs of this sort of season, but I'd say probably between. I think it's a Mirko Jeric type of one, to be honest. I think the boys rally behind what he's been able to do this year, so I'm gonna put Jeric in there. So you might come up with a couple this year based on what I'm saying. Then we'll see.
Did you ever win that one?
No, I don't think so. I'll have to sift through the boxes of countless awards, and I've got leather-bound books full of all of my award details.
Did you keep those, or did your wife, or did your mum?
Yeah. Mumsy's got them at there. Just she keeps them pride and place on the the mantelpiece. Yeah.
Okay, 2 more to go. Members' Choice MVP.
The Members' Choice MVP. There'll be an MVP, of course, which we're going to go with Scotty Machado. Members' Choice is kind of the one the fans have really... I reckon they've really enjoyed Cam Oliver, the way he's entertained the crowd. Or DJ. DJ's been entertaining as well, but I think Cam...
He has, yeah. Especially you. You really fire up for DJ.
Yeah, I was eating this fried chicken and had a beer in my hand, and he sunk this three and then turned and walked to the crowd and just stared everyone down. He caught me like mid gasp. I was like, oh, like he made the shot. I was like, oh, I just had the chicken. It was actually kind of a funny sort of a moment. I was just like, this is where I am right now. A beer and fried chicken, watching, enjoying the game. So that was fun. But yeah, I reckon Cam will get the Members' Choice award for that. Members' Choice MVP. He's been fun. He's thrown down awesome dunks. He's flexed down opponents. He's flexed down the lens of the camera. Like he knows a camera exactly where they are, which I admire from my standpoint. So
he really didn't like Chris Golding last week either, which probably only endears him to the fans even more.
Yeah, well, that certainly bolstered his votes. So we'll see.
MVP, is it as obvious as it seems?
It is. It really is. And the reason is Machado is the catalyst that has totally brought this team to life, totally empowered DJ Newbill to do his thing. He's created attention, which gives others more space. He's set up great athletes, Oliver and Deng, above the rim type plays. It's just been exciting to see how he has controlled the tempo. He's just been unbelievable, and the perfect teammate anyone could wish for. In any of the years that they play hoops professionally, you'd want a point guard like Scotty Machado at the helm. Yeah, 100%. He'll be MVP for the Taipans.
Did you ever get that one?
No. I've had some good years. I was solid, average 11 to 12 points a game for the 9 years, and maybe not the last one, but I felt like I've always bought in and played the part, and you rely on that import spot to be, that's the focus of each team. It's been the number one position that every team's had to recruit, and I feel like I was pretty solid and contributed just consistent hoops. That is just a box that was easily checked as part of the core group. And I'm really proud of obviously how I went about my business with it, and certainly had some great years and some great memories, and it was one of those things, and I'm just happy to be a part of the whole thing.
No, all jokes aside, I don't think anyone can question how valuable you were over those 9 years. You gave everything. You gave great production. You gave great leadership, and you were the heart and soul of the team for pretty much all of those years. So I think if you are proud, you have every right to be. So
I appreciate it.
That might be the only time I'd be serious about that, but you can take it to the bank.
Well, this will be the teaser on the next social media clip. I think then I'll just cut that bit out. That was beautiful.
All right, Loughz. Well, there's been plenty to cover. Now we can focus next week on the semi-final series, Game 1 in Perth against the Perth Wildcats on the Friday night, and then of course I don't think there's going to be many tickets left for very long. There's going to be 5,200 people there on the Sunday at Cairns Convention Centre. So if you haven't got your tickets now for Game 2, I'll try and snap them up pretty quickly from the moment they go on sale.
Going to be huge. It'll be a Sunday game. I love that. I was half expecting a weekday game, a Saturday, Thursday, Saturday type thing in Wildcats' favour. But a Sunday game's great. Friday Perth, Sunday Cairns, and lock and load the following week if needed. But it should be unbelievable atmosphere. Can't wait to be a part of it.
This episode of the Pikey and Loughz Show proudly brought to you by Cairns Total Physio. Less pain, more life. Statton's Plumbing Company, plumbers who care. And Your Fitness, your body, your choice, your time, your fitness.
No, can't wait either, and I can't wait to talk more about it next week as well and give you a full preview. But right now, this pretty much puts the full stop on the regular season here on the Pikey and Loughz Show. I hope you've enjoyed us talking Taipans with you. Of course, as always, let's end the show with the final word from Loughz.
Final thought is take a moment just to soak up what the Taipans have achieved this year. Tip your hat to them. Cheers them when you're with your mates, and get ready to lock and load for the semi-finals.